Have you ever noticed that when you truly start to change, the people around you get uneasy, even irritated? They won't say it outright, of course, they mask it with jokes, advice disguised as concern, or that awkward silence when you touch on something profound. It's not random. Your mental evolution threatens their comfort zone, forcing them to confront their own complacency, something no one likes to admit. This is the starting point of a journey Nietzsche laid out, building a mind so powerful, it terrifies others. This video isn't for those content with an ordinary life or chasing easy answers. It's for you, the one yearning to break through limitations, tired of being trapped by insecurities, and ready to face loneliness to forge a mind no one can manipulate. Nietzsche, the daring philosopher who stared into the abyss of existence, showed us that true strength doesn't come from comfort or praise, but from confronting pain, chaos, and creating your own meaning. Brace yourself, because this path isn't easy. It demands you shatter illusions, question everything you once accepted, and walk alone when the world turns its back. But what's the reward? A free, unyielding mind that makes mediocrity tremble. Stick around, because what Nietzsche has to teach you will not only challenge you but set you free, forever changing how you see yourself and the world. Nietzsche wasn't just a philosopher, he was a surgeon of the human soul, slicing through the illusions we cling to with surgical precision. He dared to stare into the abyss of existence, not just to face it, but to plunge headfirst into its depths. And it's there, in the churning chaos most people flee from, that he uncovered the raw source of true strength. For Nietzsche, transformation doesn't happen in the calm waters of peace, stability, or order. It's forged in the fire of pain, in the wreckage of failure, in the disorienting storm of chaos. He famously wrote, "You need to have a chaos inside you to give birth to a dancing star." This isn't some flowery metaphor to frame on your wall. It's a stark psychological diagnosis. If you want to build a mind so unshakable it terrifies others, you must let go of the naive belief that strength comes from comfort, shallow motivational quotes, or endless positive affirmations. True strength is born when you confront suffering head-on, refusing to run. When you stop begging for an easier life and start demanding to be stronger. Think back to the moments when you grew the most. Were they when everything was smooth, when life handed you success on a silver platter? Or were they when you were broken, lost, wandering without direction, forced to rebuild yourself from the ground up with nothing but your own grit? Nietzsche saw suffering not as a flaw in existence, but as its driving force, the crucible where greatness is shaped. He didn't romanticize pain. He treated it as a tool, a chisel to carve out an indomitable spirit. When you change how you face pain, failure, and loneliness, when you embrace them as raw material rather than curses, you begin to forge something rare, something the world can't ignore. While others scramble to escape chaos, you'll learn to walk through it, steady and unafraid. While the masses cling to the safety of normality, you'll create something extraordinary, greatness that disrupts the status quo. This transformation demands a brutal reckoning with everything you've been taught about strength. Forget the hollow image of strength as constant smiles or fake emotional control, the kind peddled by self-help gurus and social media. Real strength is enduring the unbearable grief, betrayal, despair, and emerging not just intact, but more dangerous, more alive. It's the courage to stand in the ruins of your old self and build something new, something unyielding. But Nietzsche warned that chaos alone isn't enough. Without an inner anchor, a core of purpose, that same chaos can swallow you whole. You need a center to hold you steady when the world shakes. That's why the next part of this journey dives into the most pivotal moment in Nietzsche's philosophy, the death of God. When Nietzsche declared God is dead, he wasn't just challenging religion. He was shattering the illusion of any external authority dictating your purpose. With no divine blueprint, no Puritan plan to lean on, you're left with the full weight of existential responsibility. It's terrifying, but it's also liberating. When there's no sky to look up to for answers, you must become the creator. The universe doesn't exist out there, it must be born within you. This is the moment where you either crumble under the weight or rise to forge a mind that no one can break, a mind that doesn't bend to the world's demands. This path isn't for the faint-hearted. It's a call to those who are tired of living half asleep, who feel the stirrings of something greater within them. It's for those ready to face the loneliness, the doubt, and the pain to become something. The world can't ignore a force that challenges mediocrity and reshapes reality. Stay with us, because what Nietzsche offers isn't just a philosophy. It's a challenge to become dangerous, to become free, to become the architect of your own existence. When Nietzsche declared, "God is dead," he was not celebrating, he was issuing a warning that many still do not understand today. What he killed was not a divine figure in itself. He killed the illusion that there is a higher authority, taking care of everything, the illusion that there is a plan, a pre-established meaning, a purpose given by someone from the outside. The death of God is the end of any excuse, and that is frightening, because until then, it was easy to outsource the responsibility for your life. It was comforting to believe that everything has a reason, that suffering is part of a divine plan, that there is a greater good that will justify everything in the end. Nietzsche violently tears this veil away. He looks you in the face and says, "You are alone. There is no ready-made meaning. Now, you are the creator." And this is where the true construction of a powerful mind begins. Because most people collapse when they realize they are alone in the face of chaos, without a manual, without guarantees, with no one to blame. But those who have the courage to face this without crumbling, they begin to forge an unshakable consciousness. With the death of God, Nietzsche pushes you into the abyss of radical freedom. You should not follow commandments, you must create. Values, you should not obey, you must surpass yourself. It is the birth of brutal autonomy, and along with it comes the weight. Everything now depends on you. There's no more absolution, there's no more salvation. Either you build yourself, or you sink. But here is the secret. This freedom that frightens you is also the greatest source of power you can have. When you understand that no one will come to save you, something within you awakens, a fire that compels you to rise, even while bleeding, that forces you to think for yourself, to feel for yourself, to act not because someone said it is right, but because you decided it is. It is in this rupture with existential crutches that Nietzsche prepares the ground for something even more grandiose, the emergence of a new way of being, a type of human being who does not live according to the rules of the herd, who does not need approval or permission, a being who creates their own morality, who surpasses their own limits, and lives as a creator, a being that frightens the weak because it forces them to see themselves as they truly are. This being has a name. Nietzsche called it the Übermensch, the Overman, and it is about him that we will talk now. Because if you want to build a mind so strong that no one can break it, you need to understand how to become this figure who lives above conventions, guided only by their own will to power. Let's dive into this. Nietzsche did not believe in the slow and passive evolution of humanity. He believed in rupture, in radical transformation, in creative destruction. And that is why he conceived the idea of the Übermensch, the Overman. It is not about a superhero. It is not someone with mystical powers. The Übermensch is a being who has overcome everything that binds the ordinary man: guilt, obedience, herd morality, the need for acceptance. The Übermensch does not seek to be accepted. He does not ask for permission to exist. He creates his own internal laws and lives by them, even if that puts him against the entire world. And that is exactly why his mind becomes unbreakable, because it is not built on the expectations of others. It does not need external approval to validate itself. It is self-sufficient. It feeds on its own will to power, the deep impulse to shape reality in its own image. This is the central point. The Übermensch does not adapt to the world. He imposes meaning on the world. He does not seek comfort. He seeks greatness. He does not ask, "Is this allowed?" He asks, "Is this worthy of me?" And this shift in perspective changes everything. Because when you start to see yourself as a creator, not as a servant, the way you think, act, and feel transforms completely. But here lies the problem. Becoming this kind of being requires sacrifice. You will have to kill parts of yourself that still beg for approval. You will have to face the pain of not belonging. You will have to bear the weight of building your identity from scratch, without guarantees, without pats on the back, without applause from the audience. And most people cannot handle it. They give up before they start. They run back to the safety of ready-made beliefs, dogmas, and rules that someone else wrote for them. The path to the Übermensch is lonely, and Nietzsche knew this. He himself lived on the margins, misunderstood, called mad, isolated from the world he was trying to liberate. But it was in that isolation that he found his freedom. And this is what you need to understand. The stronger your mind becomes, the further you drift from the masses. The higher you rise, the more you disturb. The construction of the Übermensch is the most brutal and transformative process anyone can face, because it requires you to destroy everything that is not yours, everything that has been imposed on you by a sick culture, by a society that rewards obedience and punishes authenticity. And only after destroying do you begin to build. But this construction does not happen amidst the crowd. It happens in silence, in withdrawal, in the deep solitude that separates the strong from the weak. And that is exactly why, in the next part, we will dive into the most neglected and most powerful aspect of this journey, the solitude of the strong. Because the truth is, to become unshakable, you will have to learn to walk alone, and few are ready for that. Are you? If what you're hearing resonates with you, you'll find real value in my ebook Beyond the Shadow. It breaks down Jung's core ideas and gives you tools to understand yourself more deeply. Link is in the pinned comment. If there's something that no one tells you about the path of mental strength, it's this: the stronger you become, the more lonely you feel. And it's not because you isolate yourself by choice. It's because the world starts to not know what to do with you. Nietzsche spoke clearly about this: the free spirit, the one who breaks away from common morality, who does not accept easy truths, who thinks for themselves, inevitably distances themselves from the herd. And that distancing hurts. But that pain is necessary, because real growth requires space. And you can't grow while being tied to the expectations of others. Most people live within an invisible herd, where every thought is policed. Every action is measured by others' reactions. You've gotten used to walking in a group, thinking like the group, feeling secure because there are people around you. But what Nietzsche proposes is the opposite. He tears you away from that comfort and throws you into the desert. In that desert, there are no applause, no praise, no guide. There's only you, your doubts, your traumas, your fears, your desire to give up. And that's where the real test begins. Because what will most people do? They will run back. They will hide again behind their masks. They will pretend they don't feel, that they don't think, that they don't see. But you, if you truly want to become someone that no one can break, will have to stay. You will have to endure the silence that reveals who you really are. Nietzsche said, the individual must always struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try, you will often feel lonely and sometimes scared. But no price is too high to pay for possessing yourself. That is the essence, the possession of oneself, the rarest and most powerful achievement anyone can attain. Because when you truly possess yourself, no one else can control you. No one else dictates your worth, and no one else can bring you down. But this possession comes with the weight of loneliness. You will lose people. You will be misunderstood. You will hear that you are arrogant, strange, distant. They will try to pull you back into the mold. They will call you crazy, cold, insensitive. But that is the price of not being domesticated. It is the price of not needing applause. It is the price of not living as a mirror of others' needs. And here is the raw truth. If you cannot stand loneliness, you are not ready for freedom. Because all real freedom comes with abandonment of emotional crutches, of comfortable illusions, of utilitarian friendships. That's why Nietzsche saw solitude as a privilege, a battlefield where the true self finally has space to emerge. But this free mind, this elevated spirit, does not just walk alone. It begins to see what others do not see. And with that comes the second inevitable effect, the confrontation with mediocrity. Because when you start to become strong, the collective mediocrity feels it, and it reacts. And that is exactly what we will talk about next, the danger of collective mediocrity. Because the world does not pursue those who are the same. It pursues those who dare to stand out. Nietzsche did not fear tyrants, authoritarian leaders, or declared oppressors. What he feared and denounced with philosophical fury was the subtle and corrosive power of collective mediocrity, that invisible system that keeps everyone leveled. down, that punishes those who dare to think differently, that rewards obedience and disguises cowardice as virtue. True tyranny, according to Nietzsche, does not come from above, it comes from the sides. It comes from the crowd that demands you remain small so that they do not have to grow. And that is exactly what happens when you start to stand out, when your mind becomes sharper, your spirit firmer, your presence more uncomfortable. You begin to disturb not because you're doing something wrong, but because you are doing something rare. You are breaking the mold, and society hates those who break molds. Collective mediocrity cannot stand individual brilliance, because that brilliance exposes the darkness of ordinary life. Nietzsche called this the slave morality, a morality built by those who, unable to achieve greatness, decided to invert values. They transformed strength into arrogance, ambition into selfishness, independence into coldness. And with that, they created a moral system that protects the weak and condemns the strong. But make no mistake, it is not out of compassion, it is out of resentment, because the weak do not want to be saved, they want the strong to be destroyed. That is why, when you start to liberate yourself, they begin to attack you, sometimes directly, sometimes subtly, with looks, silence, irony. But the message is clear: go back to the group. You are making us feel small, and you are unintentionally, just by being who you are. Nietzsche saw through the haze of human existence, piercing the veil of a world where most people drift in a state of paralyzing conformity. It's a life sculpted by fear, guilt, and blind obedience, and existence where questioning the status quo makes you a threat. But don't be deceived. Mediocrity doesn't come at you with brute force. It attacks with the suffocating weight of numbers, with the insidious pressure of consensus, with the relentless drip of repetition. It whispers doubts into your mind, making you question whether you're wrong for not fitting in. It wields every social tool: shame, exclusion, subtle jabs to force you to lower your head, to shrink back into the mold. And it's at this precise moment that most people falter. They can't bear to be labeled the odd one, the difficult one, the arrogant one. They crumble under the gaze of the crowd. But Nietzsche, he'd call you something else: necessary, in a world spinning on recycled ideas, manufactured desires, and comfortable half-truths. It's the strong individual who ignites transformation. Your difference isn't just a quirk, it's a spark that threatens to set the mundane ablaze. It's the discomfort that forces the world to confront its stagnation. To be strong, to think freely, to live autonomously is to wage war against the creeping tide of collective mediocrity. And like any war, this one demands preparation, strategy, and weapons, not guns or blades, but mental arsenals forged in clarity, resolve, and unrelenting self-awareness. You've made it this far, and that alone sets you apart. Most would have clicked away at the first hint of provocation, fleeing the discomfort of truth. They'd shut this off the moment it stopped stroking their ego. But you're still here, answering a call to action, a challenge for those ready to shed the cozy illusions and face reality. With eyes wide open, building a mind so strong it terrifies others isn't just a choice, it's a radical act of renunciation. You will lose things: shallow friendships built on superficiality, opportunities that demand submission, the ability to settle for a small, safe life. But what you gain is beyond price: integrity that cuts like a blade, clarity that pierces the fog, and a presence so potent it makes others tremble. You'll see the world for what it is: a slumbering mass, lulled by routine, and your wakefulness will unsettle them. Your absence will speak louder than the presence of many. This strength doesn't come from external sources. No self-help book can teach it. No catchy slogan or hollow affirmation can gift it to you. It's excavated from the depths of your soul, carved out in the silence of sleepless nights, in the unseen choices that define you when no one's watching. It's the fruit of an internal war, a relentless clash between the person you were and the one you're becoming. This war never ends, because true strength isn't about claiming victory and resting. The truly strong are those who keep fighting, even when they could walk away. They choose the battle because they know it's the only path to greatness. Nietzsche didn't want disciples trailing in his shadow. He wanted to spark internal earthquakes, to shake you loose from the chains of approval seeking, from the desperate hunt for prepackaged meaning, from the temptation to lean on systems that promise easy answers. He urged you to build something Real something forged with blood, sweat, and raw awareness. He wanted you to become dangerous, not in a violent sense, but in a way so rare and profound that your very existence forces others to confront their fears, their flaws, their avoidance. A mind like that doesn't just live, it reshapes the world around it. This journey is not for the faint-hearted. It demands you stand alone, unafraid to be misunderstood, labeled as strange or arrogant. It requires you to dismantle the comforting lies you've been fed and build your own truth from the ground up. The cost is steep loneliness, rejection, the weight of forging your own path. But the reward is unmatched, a mind so unyielding it becomes a force of nature, a presence that challenges the status quo simply by being. You'll find yourself walking through chaos, while others cling to safety, creating greatness while they beg for normalcy. So, what are the weapons in this war against mediocrity? First, cultivate relentless self-awareness. Know your weaknesses, your fears, your triggers, not to dwell on them, but to master them. Second, embrace discomfort as a teacher. Every moment of pain, doubt, or isolation is a chance to grow stronger. Third, reject the herd's morality. Create your own values, ones that align with your deepest truths, not the crowd's applause. Finally, anchor yourself in purpose. Without a core to ground you, the chaos will consume you. With it, you'll wield it like a blade. If you're still here, you're not just curious, you're ready to let go of the need for approval, to face the solitude of the path less traveled, to become a force that terrifies the mediocre. This isn't about becoming cruel or untouchable. It's about becoming so authentically you that the world can't look away. So take the challenge. Write in the comments one truth you've been hiding, one thought that sets you apart, one belief that makes you feel alone, but defines who you are. Claim your voice, declare your presence, and keep going. Because the next step in this journey is just as vital. You're not alone, you're ahead. And that, my friend, is both terrifying and liberating. What did you think about today's video? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If this video opened your mind or helped you see reality in a new light, don't forget to like and subscribe to Top Hidden Knowledge, so you never miss our next deep dive into mystery, perception, and the hidden workings of our universe. And if you have time, explore more videos on our channel. We're just getting started. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and never stop questioning the world around you.